pack your shit up, it's time to leave because Santa's on his way. We can't stay in the same place for more than 2 weeks, cause he'll pull up in his sleigh. When Santa shows up, you'll wanna be gone, cause he takes no prisoners. He will annihilate your soul with his infernal sledgehammer. Don't go wandering too far into his factory. Feral elves will fall upon you. They're extra hungry cause he starves them seriously. He only feeds them human blood and flesh. They can smell a drop of blood from like a mile away, and they can also smell your fear. You will truly understand the meaning of fear. Voices begging to be spared. Lakes of warm blood everywhere. Now it's too late. We've gone too deep into Santa's Arctic lair. We came in as a full platoon, and you're the last one left.
A shin show.
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 That's been my week in a nutshell.
What's that?
You didn't see and hear the dog sniffing the microphone?
Yeah, I did see that, yeah.
Can you hear my other dog hacking in the background? Because that's been the rest of my week.
Yes, I can hear both of those things. What's wrong with your dogs?
What's not wrong with them?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Moose has congestive heart failure, but I don't want to pay for the x-ray, so...
Well, he obviously doesn't have congestive heart failure because he's still moving around, right?
His coughing is because of the something in his heart related to his lungs. I don't fucking know. Nothing works for it. It's very annoying. But what am I going to do? Yell at him? Shut the fuck up. He can't help it.
And here's a lesson for all of us former smokers. Quit before it's too late. You seem depressed.
Just annoyed. Just annoyed. It would be fucking super if my computer would default to my Google account instead of Nick's Google account. Every time I open a Google page, it's like, hey, this is Gmail and Nick's supposed to be in here. We'll ping his phone to make sure. And then it automatically logs me in. It's like, why the fuck are you not trying to log the person in who's already logged in? Oh, I don't know. Ugh. Anyway, I need to clear my cookies and kind of just start over. But why do that when I can rant about it instead?
Yeah, you really need to clear your cookies.
Yeah, IT guru. Just clear your cookies.
Don't even fucking say the words IT to me. I will fucking lose my shit.
But to me, I like to clear your cookies as a euphemism for just so many more things than that.
Dude, the thread I'm holding on to is so thin.
It's not like you to be ranting and losing your shit. What's going on?
It's the holidays.
It's the holiday season. Why are you stressed
Really,
out by the
it's
holidays?
not even that it's the holidays. It's the end of the year. Just a lot going on all over.
Well, you know what I say? I say, hey, what's going on?
What's going on?
And I say,
hey, yeah.
Hey, yeah. I said, hey.
It's the Banana Massacre.
Well, you did want to talk about the Banana Massacre, and it is just in time for the holiday season because that happened in December 1928.
It was November, but you're right. The strike itself happened on November 12th. But the massacre did occur on December 5th and 6th.
That's right, St. Nicholas Night. You may not be familiar with St. Nicholas Night, but it's actually the precursor to Christmas as it is now celebrated with Santa Claus, because Santa Claus is a bastardization of St. Nicholas. And this is, after all, our very, very, very fucking special Christmas episode.
And did you know Nick was named after St. Nicholas?
No, he was not. He was named after Charles Nicholas Oudinot, who is your Nicholas' great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, who was a general in Napoleon's Grand Armée, who was famous...
Are you joking right now?
No, not at all. He was famous for his bravery and also for his stupidity, which allowed him to end up as a duke in Imperial France.
I mean, if we're going to really be technical about it, Nick was named for your middle name, and you were named for that bullshit.
Okay, that's fair.
How do you know this guy is real? and that he's related to us in any way.
Well, here's how I know he was real. You can look him up right now in Wikipedia, if you like. That's
Okay.
one. How I know he's related to us is via your great-grandmother Marion, my mother's mother, whose maiden name was Oudinot. So she was a direct descendant of Charles Nicholas Oudinot and took great pride in it.
This is doing great things for my 23andMe profile.
Is it really?
They ask all the time for like your mother's maiden name and your mother's maiden name. And I'm like, I don't fucking know any of that shit.
Yeah, give us all your data, please. We will be very good with it.
Not just your data, but the data of your ancestors as well. Thank you.
Sure. They can't protest that we're selling their souls.
Although, true story, if you ever want to know anything about your ancestry, get hooked in with the Mormons. Those people are on their shit.
And do you know why?
Because they like to save the dead.
They like to baptize dead people. That's a pure fact. In fact,
That's nice of them.
yes,
That's a thing.
it is. Except they baptized all the Jews who were killed in the Holocaust.
That's in poor taste, I think.
Indeed. And all of their surviving relatives, like, hey, these guys were Jewish. They weren't Mormon. What the fuck are you doing? You didn't ask me if you could baptize them in the Mormon faith after they're dead.
But that doesn't count, though. It's not like the Jews are going to be ripped screaming from heaven into Mormon heaven now because the Mormons just cast a spell on their dead souls.
It's disrespectful.
It is in bad taste, I will say that.
But you don't actually know that that's not what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, you don't know
Something-
that there's not some post-spiritual fucking throwdown happening now between
Maybe.
Jewish God and Mormon God because you know they're not the same.
Maybe
That's
you're right.
true.
I would like to see that battle, though. Can we get that on pay-per-view?
Between Yahweh and whoever the Mormon god is.
Yeah.
Jew God v. Mormon God.
I want to see a God smackdown.
Well, an epic throwdown.
I really think that the moderator for that needs to be the evangelical God.
What do you mean the moderator?
I meant commentator.
The atheists have
Okay.
to get together.
The atheists are the judges.
Okay,
They're not
good.
allowed to watch. What are you talking about? The atheists aren't allowed in on this. They don't get to see this.
But it's the only way it'd be fair and unbiased.
Maybe the Buddhists can judge.
Ooh, I
What
like
does the
that.
Mormon God look like, I wonder? It's probably just his head is all white and his body is the white button up with the black tie and the black slacks, like you know how Mormons dress. Or was
That
that
works.
Jehovah's Witness?
No, you're right.
But his head, instead of any discernible head, it's just like a fountain of white light. Or it's the Book of Mormon on a neck. Just his head is the Book of Mormon.
Here's where I appreciate the Mormon missionaries a little bit more than I appreciate the Jehovah's Witness missionaries, which is that you see the Mormon missionaries coming. You know their shtick. You can avoid them. You can walk the other way because you know it's them. The Jehovah's Witness, they're incognito. They are some guerrilla warfare motherfuckers. They will just come at you. And you think they look normal? No.
You can always sense something's off, though. You don't know what it is. You think it's an average guy who just came out of your bushes while you were mowing the lawn to talk to you. But little did you know, it was actually a Jehovah's Witness who would like to speak to you about the space king of Jupiter. What do Jehovah's Witnesses believe?
Well, I can arrange to have one show up at your door and explain
Tell you
it
all
to
of
you
it, yeah.
in excruciating detail for hours.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
So
You got
easy.
the contacts?
Yeah,
you know
dude.
Jehovah's Witnesses you can send to my apartment?
Well, I imagine it can't be that hard. Just kind of go to jehovahswitness.com and then say, hey, I know somebody who wants to be Jehovah, and then next thing you know, they're at your door pounding on it.
really-
What do they believe, though? What do they do? Is it like a Christian offshoot?
I don't know all the specifics, but basically, there's only like 144,000 people who've ever lived who will ever be good enough for like the top tier. Then everybody else who's kind of good, mostly good, but they're not the creme de la creme, they're going to live here on Earth where the lion will lay down with the lamb. It's going to be like heaven here on Earth. But all the fucks, I don't know what happens to all the fucks. And I need to know because I'm one of the fucks.
They get reincarnated as a Jehovah's Witness.
If they're lucky.
I think what actually happens is they go to hell.
But it's Jehovah
Yeah,
hell.
it's Jehovah hell. So what is it exactly?
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't believe in any of that anyway, as you well know.
Well, it might be cool.
Jehovah Witness hell, specifically?
Regular hell might be cool. I mean, like, seriously, if you went to heaven, assuming heaven was real and like all the shit they said you can't do in church, is everything in the Bible, if you went to heaven, is everything in the Bible a rule? Is it a rule? Because if that's the case, heaven's not going to be very fun at all.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, you're not going to be eating a lot of shellfish in heaven. Tell you that.
Definitely not.
No,
Or
sir.
pork, I think.
Oh.
Is pork off the table?
Yeah, that's right out. And definitely no butt sex.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
well, then
that's
I'm not
right
in.
out.
I don't know about heaven. Don't know about hell. Don't care about any of it. The Buddha says this: we are in hell right now. And if we'd like to get out of that, it's up to us. I
Up
like
to
that.
me. That's a catchphrase of me and my friend Dave. Up to me. Because when we would go into the gym before COVID, there was this neon sign upstairs over the free weights that said, if it is to be, it is up to me. But it's a shitty gym, and the only part that was lit up was up to me. So we would always
Nice.
just say that at the gym. Up to me.
Awesome.
That's terrific. So there was some interesting, I thought, news and analysis this week. Starting with most appropriately, there was a massive cyber attack on U.S. companies and government networks this week that most people believe was from Russia. In fact, we really nailed this on the head. We talked about this as recently as last week. Previously on a Shin Show, World War III will begin and probably end with a devastating cyber attack.
Any world war is just eventually going to end with the destruction of the entire human race.
But you kind of can destroy humanity to an extent with a cyber attack.
Is it that it happened this week, or was it that we detected it this week?
It's been going on for a long time, but it got
Right.
detected this past week. Despite the fact that we predicted it, there's 2 points to be made. One, not surprisingly, our soon-to-be former President Trump said it's probably not the Russians. Could be China. No one knows who did it. No one knows, says our president, who was negotiating with the Russians in 2015 for a Trump Tower in Moscow, who has had several private meetings and calls with Vladimir Putin without the benefit of any transcription or anyone else listening, who, if you read the Mueller report, which most people did not read, if you read the Mueller report, it was absolutely damning in terms of the number of contacts between Russian intelligence and top Trump campaign officials in 2016, who, in 2016, repeatedly asked Russia to hack into U.S. systems. He did it repeatedly. Is it any surprise that here now, even in the 11th hour, with just days to go left in his presidency, this man is still trying to excuse the Russians? Is it any surprise? Because I was surprised. I know that sounds weird, but I'm like, dude, you got nothing to lose at this point. Why not just call a spade a spade? His own Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said it's the Russians. Why the fuck can't he say it?
Because Putin will have his balls removed. Him and Putin was boys. Rootin' tootin' cowboy Putin.
Yeah, he's trying to make sure he's going to keep making money from and with the Russians post-presidency, of course.
Which is coming up.
Yeah, so you're going to want to be real nice to them because they murder people they don't like.
Aside from that, Putin just wants everything to run smoothly after he leaves the office, which is coming up. That's Trump's deal. He just says whatever he wants the story to be. And then that, maybe even actually in his mind, is the truth now.
You're right, because he's a believer of his own bullshit, that's for sure. And if he's not, he's probably the greatest liar that's ever lived. In fact, he may be both. They may not be mutually exclusive concepts.
At a certain point, it gets hard to be even incredulous. I'm just fucking tired, man.
Right? Talk about
Yeah,
COVID
well-
fatigue. I got me some Trump fatigue.
The good news is it's only going to get worse. Don't worry about that. It's going to get a lot worse in the coming years. So enjoy it while it's still okay. Pretty soon people are going to be listening to this from, there's just going to be rubble everywhere, gunshots in the distance, fires.
Don't forget the zombies. That's also a thing that people are going to have to deal with. And the orcs.
Well, of course, the orcs.
It goes without saying.
The orcs are coming.
So let me just point this out. If you did not get a chance to read the article in The Atlantic this week called Facebook is a Doomsday Machine, I heartily recommend that article because it describes why Facebook must be broken up, as the attorneys general of dozens of states and the federal government are now arguing before a federal judge. And you all know that I have been a proponent of breaking up Facebook for a long time.
Look, I just keep seeing articles how Facebook and Apple are in some sort of fight right now and your data is in the middle. But very simple fix to that. Delete your Facebook, okay? Stop using Apple products.
Hit the gym, lawyer up.
Right, all that. It is nice seeing like all these problems arise from social media, and I'm like, I'm glad I just don't do that. Stop doing that long before it got to this point.
Yeah,
Facebook is selling your shit.
Well, I mean, so is the fucking Google product you have in your pocket, bud. But go ahead and act like
Sure,
you're
it's-
self-righteous.
I am self-righteous. I don't need to act. But I'll tell you this. It's not like my data isn't being harvested by Google, but I don't get on Facebook. And like Facebook made it cool for you to willingly offer up all information. What you like to do, where you like to go, how you feel about things. You know what I mean?
Would look like as a dude in his 50s.
All that fun stuff. It's just nice to not be a part of that. The amount of data Google can harvest from me is very small. They know where I am. Hey, my apartment. Okay. What I look up, Banana Massacre. Okay. Have fun with that knowledge.
I understand what you're saying, son, that you don't feel like the information that you're giving Google is nearly as intrusive as the information that Facebook has harvested from you. But the reality is that it's all super intrusive. We have agreed to trade our data, our privacy. We've agreed to trade that for convenience. And that's proving to be a terrible trade. And so we as a society have got to figure that out, or it'll be the end of us.
I don't know, man. The only thing in the world that can really bring me down is inconvenience. So I kind of like the convenience, and that's the problem.
Well,
I don't think it was known when it was all created what the repercussions would be. I don't think they made Facebook and Twitter and Instagram with the knowledge of being evil. It's just that you just kind of fell into it.
Well, read the article, because what it'll tell you is that the evil in Facebook and Google is not necessarily even their intent. It's simply the scale of it. It cannot help but be evil due to its massive scale.
In the wrong hands.
In any hands.
Yeah.
No one has the power to control the information that 2.7 billion people see. No one should have that power. But Mark Zuckerberg does have that power. He can control with a touch of a dial what 2.7 billion people see in their news feeds. That is power that should not be in the hands of one human being. Should not be.
Sure.
So we talk about breaking up Facebook. What's that look like? Is it then a bunch of regional companies that all have social media that interconnect? So you've got like United States Facebook and Canada Facebook, or maybe even the 50 states of Facebook. How much regulation we talking? Because people like the social media.
Yeah, I don't even know what breaking up Facebook even fucking means.
I believe what it means is that, Facebook isn't just Facebook. It's also Instagram and WhatsApp, most notably. It would certainly mean spinning off Instagram and WhatsApp. Would it mean breaking up Facebook as a company into smaller companies? It could. They did that to AT&T. And in fact, it worked. Because, think about it now. Now, technology has really driven it, but the breakup of AT&T, Ma Bell into smaller regional companies really did spur greater competition in the telecommunications space. And today, we couldn't imagine paying for a long-distance phone call. But when I was a child, you couldn't call people long distance. In fact, into my young adult years, it would cost me $10 for an hour phone call between Michigan and New Mexico in 1985. That's no bullshit. So competition does improve market outcomes. But we're talking about a lot more than market outcomes here. We're talking about the future of society as we know it, in my opinion.
Clearly, you needed Carrot Top's service. You remember those commercials? He was like 10777 or something, and then you could make a long distance phone call for like a penny. I don't remember exactly. I just know that Carrot Top was the face of that, and there was a magnet on my fridge for a long time with it.
Wow. Well, any magnet with Carrot Top on it, you're going to want to get rid of that off your fridge immediately.
And really just burn the fridge.
Burn Carrot Top, whatever.
10,000 years ago or so, a jolly elf was born, who grew up to be Santa Claus and save our mortal souls. But then his eyes turned black as coal, and he unleashed a plague. Oh, tidings of COVID, my boy, COVID, my boy. Oh, tidings of COVID, my boy. He knows the evil man can do and deals it out tenfold. So don't talk shit on Santa Claus or he will kill your family and smite you with a terrible vengeance with his Sith magic. Oh, tidings of Christmas abuse, Christmas abuse. Oh, tidings of Christmas abuse. Oh yeah, he uses Sith magic, you heard that right, my friend. He can use all kinds of magic, but the Sith magic is the worst. So better mind your P's and Q's, 'cause the lightning really hurts. He's red, so it only makes sense. Only makes sense. He's red, so it only makes sense. That's it. That's the whole thing right there.
So here's the lighter side. I read an AMA this week from a guy who's designed a savings program in which for every $25 you save, you get a ticket in his lottery. And then they give away prizes on a regular basis, and you have a chance of winning $10 million based on how much you save. Now, they don't pay out that $10 million. They have an insurance account that will pay out if somebody actually wins. And the odds are similar to what you would do if you bought a Mega Millions or a Powerball ticket. But I think it's a very clever way to incentivize people to save instead of spending money on the lottery, which is basically a way to take money out of the pockets of poor people.
I do like that. And I like that you explained how the whole lottery thing works because I did not understand that. And the answer is insurance.
For sure. That's how it certainly works in the case of this savings account where you save $25, you get some lottery tickets. It's basically a sweepstakes is what it is, because you don't have to save $25 to get a ticket. You could actually mail in and say, no purchase necessary, I would like to enter your sweepstakes. And then you would have one ticket into the sweepstakes for every time that you did that. Or you could save $25, and the more you save, the more tickets you get, and so on and so forth. And your tickets, they never expire.
Huh.
It's a great concept. And it should help stimulate savings. Nick, would you be interested in doing something like that?
In entering this lottery? What's the catch? Someone's making money off this. Who?
Yeah,
How?
They're making money because they operate like a bank. They're just arbitraging your money, paying you a lower interest rate, getting a higher interest rate. It's a typical bank scenario. They're just trying to incentivize people who don't normally save to save through a lottery-style approach. So they're making money, and again, the only way they can pay out that $10 million prize, and he's very upfront about that, is they have an insurance policy. If indeed somebody hits the $10 million numbers, the insurance company will pay it out.
Why? Can I do that? Can I just have a lottery and then just get insurance? Why is this insurance company willing to pay them $10 million?
Because the odds are low. So, in other words, they have to pay a premium to this insurance company. The insurance company is doing a calculation that they are unlikely to have to ever pay it out, or at the point that they pay it out, they will have taken in more in premiums from this company than they have had to pay out in terms of $10 million. So, that's why it works the way it does.
It's unlikely that anyone will ever win this ticket, or just that you would win this ticket.
I read the odds and it's like 1 in 8.7 billion. So it's very unlikely that anybody will. But you know what there is? There's the thrill of what if, though, which is basically the same as the lottery, which is the whole point of this whole thing.
The odds of winning the lottery are in fact worse, or certainly no better.
I thought someone had to win a lottery. I just thought the odds of you winning was small, but someone is going to win it.
No one has to win the top prize in a lottery. Think about all the weeks that the Mega Millions jackpot just rolls over.
I did not know that it worked like that. I thought eventually someone had to win it. I didn't think there was if nobody got the ticket within this time, now that money's not available anymore.
And how it works in this particular thing is that they obviously have different levels of prizes too. So you might win in any 1 week or in any one period of time $25. Well, that's great. Guess what? You just doubled the amount you put in the bank. Or you might win $10. Or you might even just win $1 or $2. But you have an opportunity to win something every time you deposit $25.
That's better than the lottery. It is better than just going into a gas station and buying scratch-off tickets. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I'd do that.
Great. I'll set you up with an account.
Really? Is it up and running?
Oh, yeah.
How do you start something like that? That seems like a smart idea. How do you say, I'm a bank now? How much money does that cost to start a thing where you hold other people's money?
I'm not an expert on banking, so I couldn't tell you exactly how that happens. But
I feel like it can't be that much just to have a website, some sort of interface where you can hold other people's money. You're not creating anything. You're not making nothing. You're just holding money and making a lot of money doing it.
To tell you the God's honest truth, I don't know the first goddamn thing about it, but I do know this. The banking industry is pretty heavily regulated. So my advice is that before anybody tries something like that, they go ahead and get the requisite education and figure out what you need to do before you start taking people's money.
I guess they are heavily regulated, sure, but this is a fact. And it has been a fact since the dawn of human civilization. Banks often outlast the countries they're started in. So maybe it's not a bad idea. Maybe we should start a bank. Let's start a Shin Show banking service.
That's right. We've graduated from our listener loyalty program to a Shin Show banking service. That's right. With Ask Bank, you're going to get all of the money that's coming to you, brother.
And you know what's great
Can
about
Ask
it?
Bank have a spank bank in which you deposit ass coins?
Yes.
Sure. Sure. Why
Why
not?
not? Yeah.
The good thing about Ask Bank is now when you give us all your fucking money, you can take it back too. We're just holding it. We're just holding it.
Should we promise a high interest rate or should we promise no interest rate? What's
Which
our
one's
approach
the
here?
good one? High interest rate for what? Your savings account? Like you earn the interest?
Yeah, what's our hook to listeners to get them to deposit their hard-earned money in our Ask Bank?
Put your money deep, deep in our spank.
No.
No?
Let's do a lottery system for how much was that guy doing?
10 million. Technically, it's a sweepstakes.
All right, a sweepstakes. So let's find that insurance company who hooked that up, jive talk them a little bit, and have one for 15 million. Ours is better. We just undercut. I guess it would be technically overcutting these guys.
It doesn't have to be any kind of jive talk. It's all a matter of what kind of insurance policy we can afford.
Well, we can afford a lot, any insurance policy, if enough people are using our bank. So this is the classic. There's like a joke about a dude who gets his daughter to marry Albert Einstein, or because, I don't know. Look, here, the people who are using our bank don't need to know that we don't have the insurance yet. Sweepstakes take a long time. You know what I'm saying? It takes a long time. So we lie about having the insurance, say there's a $15 million sweepstakes. We get all the people to use our bank. Then we go to the insurance company, show them the numbers, and say, look, we told them you guys were going to hook us up with the sweepstakes, and now we got the scratch to cover the policy, and bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that, except for one tiny problem.
What's that?
It's fraud.
It's only fraud for a little bit, and then it becomes not fraud.
You have exactly the same reasoning as President Trump in most of his business dealings.
Sure, okay, like it is actually technically fraud at first, but no one won the sweepstakes for the 10 million of that guy's bank in the first week, did they? Has anyone won it yet?
Of course not.
So, like, we could just have in the fine print, in the little copyright, sweepstakes not actually in taking place until enough people use our bank.
I understand.
And it's not fraud.
Yeah, we'll use Sloper, Toe Jam, and Crunch.
Hi, I'm Zeke Sloper of the quasi-legal firm Sloper, Purvis, and Crunch.
The famous disclaimer attorneys to write the disclaimer for that, so it'll be legally bulletproof.
Ironclad, as they say.
With a disclaimer and a good intention in our heart, I think we're going to conquer this thing.
Sure, everybody makes money. You got a safe place to hold your money, and we make money doing that somehow. I don't know how banks just live that way. I don't know how it works. Like, they just hold your money and then make money for that. But whatever, we should get on that. Seems easy.
You know what it requires? Wealth.
I was going to say smart people. We're out on both fronts. We don't have wealth.
Wealth for what? What is the startup capital for a bank?
I can tell you that for Scooters, it's a cool $100,000 cash. So you tell me what a bank would be.
Well, Scooters makes fucking coffee. I'm talking about a bank right now. Scooters,
saying
you like
that-
make something. You order supplies and make them into something and sell it. You know, there's profit margins.
In a bank, you're dealing with trust. We don't trust each other. How the fuck are we supposed to get other people to trust us to hold their monies?
It's real simple, Sarah. At Ask Bank, trust is our most important product. You rely on us to safeguard your money and give back to you a handsome return. We've earned that trust through our quality podcasts week after week. Now you can have the same assurance as you enjoy when you press refresh on your podcast app that you listen to podcasts on, that our podcast will be there at some point. Just like that, your money will be there at some point, probably. So put your money in Ask Bank today. Put it in real deep.
Okay, so I've been reading because I really want to talk about the United Fruit Company. Chiquita
man.
Banana.
Yeah, the United Fruit Company, talk about an evil corporation. They really rival, say, Philip Morris, the Sacklers, Purdue Pharma, some of the most heinous companies in U.S. history. The United
Sure.
Fruit Company is right up there at the top of the list. Satan Master, I've left your usual sacrifice tonight.
I've been a really bad boy, Satan master, so spare me and my family tonight. Satan master, the pentagram is already drawn in blood. The meat is rotten as asked. Satan master, destroy the enemies in my life. Well, think of all the blood I've spilled and all the strays that I've caught and killed, just to slake your infernal thirst and gain your protection from Santa Claus. Satan master, I hear that fat fuck on my roof right now. You said he wouldn't come here. Fuck you, Satan. Now Santa's gonna fuck me tonight. Yeah, I mean, the pharmaceutical companies, I guess, indirectly kill people. They don't, have hired goons that will actually take your life, but they deny you medicine that you need to live. So it's they do kill you. It's just pharmaceutical company isn't etched on the bullet that is shooting you. But the United Fruit Company definitely did. Definitely would hire strike breakers from the government of whatever country they were inhabiting. The way they would do it is bananas and fruit out of these countries were the main export.
We're talking about countries like Colombia, Guatemala, El Salvador, Central American countries that have a history of weak governance.
Yeah. So they had policies of acquiring tax breaks and other benefits from its host governments. But the amount of money they would make from doing that would make these things called enclave economies, in which the company's investment is largely self-contained for its employees and overseas investors. And by employees, I mean management, not the people working, but the people cracking the whips. And as such, the benefits of the export earnings are not shared with its host country. So since the host country is still super poor and the United Fruit Company gets richer by the second, they can just reserve land, hold land. You can claim that hurricanes and blight and other natural threats required you to do that, but they had the money. So governments in these countries were often corrupt because they were so poor. And so that's where the term banana republic comes from, because this fucking fruit company would hold these servile dictatorships over countries.
Yes, and we, the United States government, not only were cool with that, we lent our armed forces to enforce our economic interests on numerous occasions, including, but not limited to, the banana massacre that you're referencing.
Here's a good example of what you're talking about right now. In 1954, Guatemala had a democratically elected government that was attained by Colonel Jacobo Armenz Guzman. But it was toppled by U.S.-backed forces led by Colonel Carlos Castillo Armas, who invaded from Honduras. This was commissioned by the Eisenhower administration because the directors of the United Fruit Company had lobbied to convince the Truman and Eisenhower administrations that Colonel Arbenz and his democratically elected Guatemalan government intended to align Guatemala with communism. The United Fruit Company went to Truman and Eisenhower and was like, look, this democratically elected government is going to be
goddamn
aligning
commies
itself with communism. Bunch of commies, so you need to go in there and overthrow that government. And the reason that the United Fruit Company wanted them to do that was because this fucking guy, Jacobo Arbenz Guzman, the democratically elected leader of Guatemala, was like, you guys are fucking us. So this big company just went to the United States and was like, will you overthrow this government so we can make some more fucking money, please? And that's exactly what happened.
That is exactly what happened. So they're bad. But here's a question for you. Are they any worse than Purdue Pharma, who's responsible for the deaths of, 400,000 or so Americans over the last several years?
Well, that's what I was saying. These pharmaceutical companies indirectly kill you by not giving you medicine you need to live. But these fucking fruit companies will actually hire men with guns to shoot you dead. And the environmental impact they would have, they would just absolutely fuck these lands in Latin America. It could be argued that the reason they're so fucked up to this day, a large part of that was played by the goddamn Chiquita Banana Company.
That's very true. However, I would argue the Purdue Pharma Company in particular was very directly involved in marketing a product it knew to be extremely addictive and deliberately lied in order to get more people addicted to its product. It was the playbook right from the cigarette companies, only we're talking about just a campaign of out-and-out deceit, bordering on bribing doctors. It's just horrible.
I don't think it was bordering. I think it was definitely bribing doctors. It was like proven doctors were getting a kickback for pushing their pills. This Purdue Pharma affected entire countries, sure, but it didn't affect everyone. The fruit companies would literally change the landscape politically and physically of the countries it inhabited. It would get other countries to overthrow the governments. It's hard to quantify which one's worse, but I'm like, this is for fruit. It's for fucking bananas, for God's sake. The other shit, these pharmaceutical companies at least get you fucked up. You know, these are bananas.
It's all about money, though. Like Britain's whole thing was over spice, right? It's always about that money.
No, sometimes it's about the banana. So tasty, so creamy,
it's
so
about
filled
the bananas.
It's about the bananas. After all, we're 50% banana.
It's true. Genetically, we are. But let's talk about the banana massacre real quick. And it was quick, too. It was a strike by United Fruit Workers in Colombia. They had like 9 demands. On Wikipedia, you can look it up, and there's telegrams back and forth between the Bogota embassy to the Secretary of State in the United States. But these guys, they were striking. And so the leaders of the United Fruit Company just had the Colombian government come in and kill them all. It was well over 1,000 people were gunned down for striking.
Yeah, that's evil.
So, like, that's why I'm saying, like, it's a little bit different from the pharmaceutical companies. It is more deceptive from the pharmaceutical companies. But, like, literally, these fruit companies conducted massacres.
The proof is right there in the banana massacre itself, which took place in Colombia in 1928 in December. Merry fucking Christmas.
Here, let me read you just one of the dispatches from the U.S. Bogota embassy to the Secretary of State. Dated December 29th, 1928. I have the honor to report that the legal advisor of the United Fruit Company here in Bogota stated yesterday that the total number of strikers killed by the Colombian military authorities during the recent disturbances reached between 500 and 600, while the numbers of soldiers killed was 1. And then they sent one right after that. It was like, I have the honor to report that the Bogota representative of the United Fruit Company told me yesterday that the total number of strikers killed by the Colombian military exceeded 1,000. And then whoever the U.S. Secretary of State was at that time was like, hey, good job. Now come on back home, you rascal.
That's
fucking
evil.
Strikers.
But you know what? Corruption exists still to this day. As a matter of fact, now Congress has struck a deal on a $900 billion COVID relief package. That's great. But keep in mind, the first COVID relief package included $900 billion for something called the Paycheck Protection Program. In fact, as you may recall, we did a bit on the Paycheck Protection Program lawsuit defense firm.
Hey, folks, it's your old friend Zeke Slopa from Acclaim Disclaimer Law Firm, Slopa, Toe Jam, and Crunch, here to tell you about our expansion into Paycheck Protection Program fraud defense.
But the reality is, they couldn't audit $680 billion worth of the Paycheck Protection Program. $680 billion has been given away that they can't really track down every penny of.
Poof. It's Kaiser Soze, just gone into a taxi, never to be seen again. Too late. I saw this article and I was talking to Taylor. Taylor knows this. When you're a server and you've gotten enough cash from all your tables that now you owe the restaurant $300, but $200 of it is unaccounted for, like you only have $100, you know what happens? You can't leave until you cough up that $200, you're fired. So 640 billion taxpayer dollars are up in smoke, mismanaged by the people who run our government. Where's the money? What'd you do with the money? You now have to cough up $640 billion or you can't leave. You can't
Where's the
leave.
money, Lebowski?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
All right,
Congress?
who is responsible for collecting and dispersing this money? Why are their heads not on the block right now?
In fact, it's not really Congress. Who's responsible for authorizing it and appropriating it is Congress. They're responsible for that. Now, who's responsible for dispensing it and tracking it? That would be the U.S. Department of the Treasury. head by a guy named Steve Mnuchin, who's essentially an evil villain. And his wife is also an evil villain. You can look it up. But the bottom line is that just because it can't be audited doesn't mean all $640 billion went into some kind of black hole. It went to various companies, but the idea that they can track it down, every penny of it, that was never going to happen anyway. $640 billion, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money to lose. That's not fucking around money. That's like, hey, we need that money. Let's give you a leeway of $140 billion, okay? Where'd the 500 go? Where did it go? You can't even tell me where it went. That's okay. You can't have this job anymore. You fucked up. Like, that's a catastrophic failure.
You know what they say, though? 100 billion here, 100 billion there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
Yeah.
We want the fucking money.
How do you still have your job? Please, anybody? How are they still allowed to keep their job after catastrophic mismanagement?
Who's they? This is the problem, right? When there's no accountability, it's really easy to keep your job when no one's accountable. But if you could say any single person was ultimately accountable, it would be President Donald J. Trump. But guess what? We've held him accountable, or at least a substantial majority of the United States have held him accountable by voting him out of office.
That's unsat. No, there has to be someone who's responsible for this. A group of people who's responsible for the $640 billion, which are now missing. I don't think Donald Trump was directly. I think someone or a group of people wanted a little Christmas bonus this year. That's what I think. Wherever they dispersed it for whatever shady deals. And you know what? If the IRS were missing $640 billion in taxes from someone, hey, they'd figure it out. They'd get to the bottom of it. They'd find out who is responsible. Why can it not go the other way?
Why not indeed?
Why? Because the government's corrupt. But
I mean, what are we going to do? Have a team of auditors go in there?
yeah, from who? You're going to notify the IRS? They'll be like, yeah, we're doing an inside investigation. We'll let you know what the results are.
The police investigation or whatever?
Yeah, internal police union investigation. The police union is doing an internal investigation on this one. The verdict is...
Fuck you.
Yeah, the verdict is fuck you and your dead family.
All I know for sure is that I can't wait for the next round of Paycheck Protection Program money, because the parent company of a shin show is going to be first in line.
Yeah, Dad. Where's my money?
You've been getting
I would
paid?
love another stimulus check.
No one's been getting paid. But if I could get some of that sweet, sweet Paycheck Protection Program money, maybe I could start paying you assholes.
Why not?
Okay.
You
Which
know-
one of us is going to audit Dad?
All I know is that it would be a Christmas miracle. That's for sure. Seriously, though, this is on the lighter side. In a place called Rainsville, Alabama, they found an illegal winery operating out of the Rainsville sewage plant. What happened was it received an anonymous tip, the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office did, that a municipal building was the headquarters of an alcohol operation. So they show up at the sewage plant, and sure enough, glass containers, buckets, fermenting rack, other equipment people use to make wine at home. But why make wine at home when you can make it from the convenience of your employment at the sewage plant? Am I right?
Sure.
That toilet wine. How else do you get that special spice in there?
It really is toilet wine.
Literally.
And it will show you the face of God.
All I know is that last glass of Merlot tasted like shit.
Sewage-scented toilet wine.
Sewage-scented toilet wine. So delicious. So satisfying. And we'll give you a free bottle with every $25 deposit you make in the Ass Bank.
I just want to say also, I was asked to bring up the United... I'm just going to call them Chiquita, but those guys' involvement in Honduras and shit. If anybody else is interested in hearing about this, just Google United Fruit Company, go to their Wikipedia page, and you look right here at the contents, history in Latin America. That'll tell you like how much they fucked Honduras. But then also down here, aiding and abetting a terrorist organization. Yeah, it gets worse. Whatever I've said, I'm not doing justice. You really should look it up and read it, because in 2007, they pled guilty in a United States federal court to aiding and abetting a terrorist organization. You can still buy Chiquita bananas in the fucking store right now. They pled guilty to aiding and abetting a terrorist organization. The United Self-Defense Forces of Colombia, the AUC, which is a group the United States has labeled a terrorist organization since 2001.
We can change, baby. We can change.
Would you like
Buy
to hear
bananas.
the ways in which Chiquita, the banana company, aided and abetted a terrorist organization?
I really wouldn't, but you're going to tell me anyway, so go on.
I'm going to tell you anyway. First off, they paid him $1.7 million.
For security,
Oh my
no
God.
doubt.
In addition to the monetary payments, they were also pled guilty to smuggling weapons, 3,000 AK-47s, to the AUC, and assisting the AUC in smuggling drugs to Europe. Chiquita Brands admitted that they paid AUC operatives to silence union organizers and intimidate farmers into selling only to Chiquita. Oh my God. The Colombian government let Chiquita Brands keep the names of their U.S. citizens secret in exchange for relief to 390 families. So the guys who brokered the agreements between Chiquita and this terrorist organization, they were let off the hook.
No punishment.
No punishment. The punishment for Chiquita itself was $25 million in restitution. Now, how much money do you think they made off one of those drug smugglings to Europe? More than $25 million.
It's an unfortunate fact, and it is a real statement about the state of where we see companies, that we typically do not hold corporate officers accountable for the criminal activities of their companies. The last company meltdown that really resulted in personal convictions for the officers of that company was Enron, and that's been nearly 20 years ago. Since then, the U.S. government has developed a policy where individual corporate officers are not singled out for criminal punishment. The company itself is punished, typically with fines, which then become a cost of doing business. After all, if I have no risk of being personally held accountable, then what's the big deal if my company has to pay $25 million or $500 million or $5 billion or $25 billion? For some of these companies, that's just the cost of doing business. That's wrong. And that's one of the things that we've got to change in this country if we're going to survive and not become another fallen empire.
But it's also why we're an LLC, baby.
You know that's right.
Sure. When they smuggled 3,000 AK-47s to the AUC, when the total fine is $25 million, they made more than the fine that they got for this whole thing in each individual operation they had going on. And they knew that, too. And corporations now know that. That's why all these pharmaceutical companies also have faced no real comeuppance except that one guy, Martin Shkreli. He did go to jail. But other than that, they get a slap on the wrist fine. They get a fine that is far less than the amount that they made.
And
if you made $30 million, you get fined $25 million. You just made a cool $5 million.
Cost of doing business. That's what it is.
Sure.
I want to finish this week because it is the holiday season, as you know from the twisted carols that you've heard on this program. You know it's the holiday season. And so it's for many a time of rest and recuperation ahead of what could be another grueling year in 2021. And as we all enjoy, hopefully, a period of some degree of leisure leading into the new year, it's interesting to think about the piece by Bertrand Russell, who wrote this, by the way, all the way back in the 30s, talking about the importance of leisure time to a society and how, in the future, the average person should really only work at most 4 hours a day and devote the rest of his or her life to artistic and other community pursuits that really fulfilled him or her. And I think that that's a beautiful sentiment this time of year. In fact, I think it's a beautiful sentiment any time of year. I'm not a big fan of work for work's sake. Call me a radical, if you will.
Busy work is dumb. You should be spending that time doing whatever you want. You got to work the amount you have to work, but it shouldn't be more than that.
Well, Bertrand Russell's point, even back nearly 100 years ago now, was that the amount of time that you actually work should be just enough time to provide you with enough opportunity to do something truly productive, something that you feel is truly productive.
Honestly, there's no way to know this because no country ever does this, but I feel like there would be an uptick in productivity, in scientific discoveries, in like good things that are helpful for the entirety of a population. If you only had to work the amount that was necessary and then the rest of the time is spent on self-reflection or something that you are passionate about, that's pretty much the whole argument behind universal basic income. You wouldn't have to spend so much of your potential, whatever that may be, working, doing some shit that does not matter.
I agree. I really have come to see that universal basic income is an important development in terms of moving not just our society, but all societies into the future. I'm a believer in it. But then most people think that I'm way too liberal.
I mean, in this capitalist hellhole, You come to me with handouts? This is America. How dare you?
Who thinks you're way too liberal? Who says that? Yeah.
No one says it to my face.
You just get that vibe.
You know, let's face it, most of my friends are somewhere to the right of...
Center.
Yes, that's
Sure.
a very polite, because I didn't want to insult any of my friends who might be listening to this, but they're far to the right of me, for sure.
Do any of them listen to this? Aside from Chris, shout out Chris.
Hey, Chris. I'm not even sure Chris listens anymore.
Well, let's just say
Don't
I
blame him.
consider myself pretty liberal, but I feel downright Republican compared to your father.
Well, I was just going to say, anyone who says, like, oh, you're leaning too left, fuck them.
You know who was a leftist? Jesus Christ was a leftist. He had the most radical program that you can imagine, which is leave all of your shit behind, give it to the poor, and follow me.
But then what happens when you give it to the poor? Like, then do they leave their shit behind and give it to the new people who are now poor? Because then we're just back at square one.
Hey, it's reduce,
What are the poor
reuse,
supposed to do?
recycle. It's good for the earth.
Yeah, okay.
You know what else he had? A totally radical t-shirt that said punch a fascist in the face.
You know what else he had? He had a kick-ass beard. I've seen it. It looks great. Much like Santa himself. He had great thighs. He never skipped leg day. I've seen that all over the internet. He was buff, and he was very, very white and blue-eyed.
Which is
the
real
one thing
weird.
he did have was white flesh.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, after all, don't all Arabs have white flesh? Of course.
Yes.
Well,
You know what else Jesus had?
What?
Mad orgies with the 12 apostles, yo.
You're disgusting, and
Gross.
I'm going to have to edit that out because I don't believe in it. It's
Why?
not in the Christmas spirit.
why? What the fuck are you talking about? Why you got to edit that out? Why is she the disgusting one? Last week you were all like, "Oh, some part of me is 50% banana." Like that's cool, but Jesus having orgies with the apostles is over the line. Okay,
It's because dad doesn't support the homosexual agenda.
the gay Jesus agenda, Jesus's gay agenda.
I will say, Sarah, we did consider crafting you handmade gift certificates to gay conversion therapy.
We did.
As a Christmas
We
gift.
did. We were going to give you, you and Sarah Murphy both, we were going to give you both a handcrafted certificate that said this is good for $10,000 worth of gay conversion therapy.
10,000 volts worth of gay conversion therapy.
And Elsie said, oh, yes, we've got to do that now. I brought it up initially, and I said, no, that'll be traumatic and offensive, especially to Sarah and Sarah both. So
I said no, they'd laugh.
Now we'll never know.
Yeah.
Right?
Now it's too late.
it is. We blew that one. Well, I hope we don't blow Christmas, and I hope you all have a wonderful, merry, and fun Christmas with whatever family you have surrounding you at this difficult time of COVID.
Or not.
this
You know,
is
if you don't celebrate Christmas, that's cool too. Happy holidays. Enjoy the solstice. You know what? Happy end of the
Happy-
year, motherfuckers. Unless
Yeah,
you're
man.
Chinese, in which case I'm not sure when the new year is.
It's
You know,
February or something.
good sentiments.
You know, just be cool, have a good time, whatever that means to you.
Yeah, even if that means murdering someone.
Yeah, that's
If
fine.
that's a good time.
As long as
you
it's
know.
not us.
No,
Yeah, just not me.
no.
Murder people.
No.
Murder people and their families.
No,
Do
don't
it.
do that.
Well, yeah, you're going to want to get the whole family. You don't want to leave some of them feeling left out.
I'm not getting
Yeah.
either of you a Christmas gift, and both of you are getting a lump of coal from Santa.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's fine. That's the least thing I'm worried about getting from Santa.
Are you implying Santa's a rapist?
Inside your household, you're asleep, never suspecting the big red creep. He looks upon you in your bed. Last thing you saw was a flash of red. No, 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 say it ain't so. No, 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 you've gotta go up in your bedroom. He has come. Don't even think about trying to run. Santa's been watching you all year with his high-tech surveillance gear. If you want, you can try to hide, but he has magic on his side. Oh God, no, you're too slow. When he's all done, he'll let you know. Off to another person's place. Locking your doors won't keep you safe.
Well, I mean, what do we really know about the man is all I'm saying.
He's
He can
sneaky.
enter your home at will through magic or just supreme burglary. I'm not exactly sure.
He has to roll a stealth check, okay, every time that he goes up
Well,
to
he rolls a
chimney.
nat 20.
He's got them loaded die.
I see. We're pretending Santa is a Dungeons and Dragons character. Now I get it. Let me just say this about that, which is this. Both of you believed in that son of a bitch when you were little. Dummies.
Yeah, because you lied to me. That's why. Because you deceived me. Like pharmaceutical companies.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm a better parent. I never did that.
Yeah, you are a better parent. That's well known. In any case, I do hope you have a great holiday season. Can't wait to come back for our New Year's Eve special. That's going to be awesome. You're not going to miss that. And until then, love you, bye.
Wait, hold on. I do have to give a shout out to my esteemed colleague, Dr. Bing Bong, for telling me about the Chiquita massacre, all that. I vaguely knew about it, but I'm just giving him a shout out. Dr. Bing Bong, thank you very much for letting me know about that. Hopefully
What's Dr. Bing Bong's credentials?
Binging and bonging.
Yeah, obviously.
He's a doctor of banging and bonging, you know.
Especially the bonging.
Yeah, mostly the bonging.
Yeah, mostly.
Well, he's not an accredited doctor. You know,
Right.
He didn't get his doctorate from like an accredited school as such.
He got it from the Church of Universal Energy and the Infinite Multiverse.
At a steep cost.
All his fucking money.
Yeah, sure. But that's it. Good show.
All right. Love you. Bye.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Love you, bye.
A Shin Show is a production of Shinfluence. It features the voices and opinions of the Shin family, which are entirely and exclusively their own. Join us each week on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks as always to our regular listeners. We love to hear from you, so if you have a question, comment, recommendation, or idea you would like to submit to a Shin Show, please email us at ashinshow@gmail.com, and we will be happy to ignore it, belittle you publicly, or steal your ideas if you actually have a good one.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Ho, ho, ho!